What we're going to talk about now, these are the relevant dates that revolve around the payment of dividends. Now, you need to understand that dividends are declared and paid really by the board of directors of the corporation. This is not something that's done by the CEO or the president, but it's the board that declares and pays dividends. And there are certain dates involved with payment of dividends of one sort or another. Now, one date, and this would be the date, it's called the announcement date. This is the date that the board, announces the dividend. So maybe on August 1st, they announce that they're going to pay, $2 a share in dividends, or if they're doing a quarterly dividend, they might say for this quarter we're going to pay 75 cents a share, or whatever the dividend is. But that's the announcement date. That's simply the date that the board announces the payment of the dividend. They will also, the board, tell you what the holder of record date is. So they might announce the dividend on August 1st and say that we're going to pay dividends to people who own the stock on September the 4th. And that would be called the holder of record date. So on September the 4th, the company's going to see who it is that owns the stock of the company. And on that, and whoever that is now, that's who's going to get the dividend. And that date now, the September 4th we're talking about, that's indeed the holder of record date. They're also going to announce the payment date. So the holder of record date might be the 4th, payment date might be the 20th of September. And that's the date where they're actually going to send the dividends out, pay the dividends to the shareholders. And you'll note that there's another date in here. Now this is called the ex-dividends date. And the ex-dividends date now is not really a date determined by the board, but this is something that the investment community has come up with. And the ex-dividends date, and what it is now, is 2 business days before the holder of record date. So these are business days now, not weekends, not holidays, that kind of thing, but 2 business days. And that's done because the investment community says that if somebody comes in and buys a stock today, it takes us 2 business days to get their ownership to the company. And therefore, we want to make sure if they buy it in that time frame, that they get the dividend. But that's called the ex-dividends date. So if September 4th is the holder of record date, and these are all business days, just to make it easy for us, then 2 business days, the 3rd, the 2nd, on the 2nd of September, that stock would start selling ex-dividends. So if you buy it on September the 2nd or after that, you won't get the dividend. The dividend won't be paid to you. If you want to get the dividend with the stock, then you have to buy it before the ex-dividends date. In our little example, you have to buy it on September 1st or earlier, and that way you would get the dividend. But this is called the ex-dividends date, and there's a problem in the back of the book now that we're going to work that deals with all these dates, and we'll go through all this again. But these are the relevant dates in the payment of dividends.